Right, let's crack on with the main news today, because the government's counter-extremism unit is currently monitoring tweets by Elon Musk.
Well, the move follows the tech billionaire's recent criticisms of the government and its senior ministers.
Most notably safeguarding Minister Jess Phillips, who's accused him of endangering her through his social media posts.
That's after she faced personal criticisms from him over the grooming rape gangs scandal.
Meanwhile, the Chancellor, Rachel Reeves, has jumped on a plane. This time she's gone to China.
She's set to restart trade and investment talks, but that's despite government borrowing costs surging to their highest level in 27 years.
Starmer's world is quickly unravelling. Simon Dansuk, a former Labour MP, has disclosed alarming information about his party. He alleges that senior Labour Party members advised him against revealing details about those involved in the grooming gangs, fearing it would jeopardise their electoral support. This indicates that they prioritised their political careers over the safety of children. Dansuk went beyond vague statements and named specific individuals, including Tony Lloyd, the then leader of the Parliamentary Labour Party, who was one of the advocates for silence. Dansuk stated that senior politicians urged him not to mention the ethnicity or religious affiliations of the offenders, claiming it would harm their electoral prospects. Lloyd repeatedly pressed him to keep quiet. Even during private discussion, another senior MP, Jim Dobbin, offered him similar counsel. The situation is further complicated by the fact that Starmer was the head of the Crown Prosecution Service at that time.
They want Elon Musk gone, X turned off, and freedom of speech stamped out. Starmer himself has said he's going to look at social media laws in the wake of the riots and even revisit the Online Safety Act. And right on cue, of course, the Westminster elite are now circling. Guardian columnists got their knickers in a twist, saying Musk should be on trial in the UK for inciting the riots. And Keir Starmer's champagne socialist biographer, Tom Baldwin, called for regulation of social media platforms, even saying free speech was not absolute. Make no mistake, the minority racist idiots who caused the worst of these riots have opened the floodgates for a power grab of our civil liberties under this Labour government. And it's a crying shame that it's a US-based South African who's the only one with the balls to stick up for British citizens.
Elon Musk isn't just sharing his opinions, he's igniting a real controversy. He posted a bold message on his X platform, calling for Starmer's imprisonment, and this is only the beginning. Musk makes serious allegations, claiming that Starmer is linked to violence in Britain and labelling him a disgrace to the nation. Why is he speaking out so vehemently? Starmer served as the head of the Crown Prosecution Service from 2008 to 2013, a period during which many gang cases were overlooked or suppressed. Musk essentially holds him responsible for the lack of proper investigations into these horrific crimes. But that's not all. Musk isn't just targeting Starmer, he's taking aim at the entire government. He even questions whether it's time for America to free the British people from a tyrannical regime. Can you believe it? He clearly sees himself as a political savior for Britain, which sounds quite outrageous. Musk doesn't hold back when it comes to other politicians either, including Jess Phillips, the Minister of the Environment. He suggests that her hesitance to investigate grooming gangs is tied to Starmer's past.
On the question of Elon Musk, look, I think most people are more interested in what's going to happen to the NHS, frankly, than what's happening on Twitter. Child sexual exploitation is utterly sickening, utterly sickening. And for many, many years, too many victims have been completely let down by perverse ideas about community relations, or by the idea that institutions must be protected above all else. And they've not been listened to and they've not been heard. Those that are spreading lies and misinformation as far and as wide as possible, they're not interested in victims, they're interested in themselves. Those who are cheerleading Tommy Robinson, not interested.
All of this is unfolding against the backdrop of the Labour Party's decision to block a national public inquiry into the grooming scandal. People are outraged, and Musk is capitalizing on that anger. What began as the Starmer scandal has now escalated into an international incident, with one of the world's wealthiest individuals calling for the British Prime Minister to be imprisoned. And for Starmer, this situation is far from over. Musk has a vast platform and is actively using it to keep this issue in the spotlight. But here's the truly surprising part. The victims of the Rotherham scandal are backing him. Yes, you read that correctly. Those who have suffered this horrific violence are saying that Musk is on the right path. Sammy Woodhouse, one of the key whistleblowers, commends Musk for his bravery in addressing issues related to grooming gangs. She doesn't just express her gratitude, she asserts that he has done more to raise awareness than anyone else in British history.
Injustice. They're supporting a man who went to prison for nearly collapsing a grooming case, a gang grooming case. These are people who are trying to get some kind of vicarious thrill from street violence that people like Tommy Robinson promote. And those attacking Jess Phillips, who I'm proud to call a colleague and a friend, not protecting victims. Jess Phillips has done 1,000 times more than they've even dreamt about when it comes to protecting victims of sexual abuse throughout her entire career. But when the poison of the far right leads to serious threats to Jess Phillips and others.
And it's not just Woodhouse. Other victims are also coming forward, stating that Musk is finally providing them with a platform to be heard after years of being overlooked. These individuals have endured immense suffering and are now holding Starmer accountable for his actions, or lack thereof, during his tenure as head of the Crown Prosecution Service. Woodhouse highlighting that by setting aside political disputes, Musk is genuinely making a difference for them. These victims are not concerned with politics, they simply seek justice and someone to listen to their stories. It's all quite astonishing. Survivors of abuse are praising the controversial billionaire for doing more for them than their own government has. The Prime Minister is facing criticism for his past handling of these crimes, and an increasing number of people are demanding accountability. This is a genuine fight for justice, and it's only just beginning.
I think Starmer absolutely knew before the debate about the Bowler letter and what it said, and took a deliberate decision, which he's done before. I'll give you the example. I think he just let Sunak repeat it over and over and over again, effectively let him hang himself with it.
Yeah.
Because now the letter's come out this morning, the Bowler letter.
That's interesting.
And now Labour can say, look, they are proven liars.
So it's more of a zinger this morning than it would have been if he'd pulled it out of his pocket last night.
He looked, maybe to certain people last night, he looked like he didn't have the ammunition to immediately rebut the £2,000 allegation. And certainly some people have been saying that. But I think it was more than that. I think he knew. And it's a loyalty tactic, James. We all do it.
MPs are accusing Starmer of attempting to discredit those calling for a national investigation into this shocking scandal. The Prime Minister appears to be resisting the inquiry, creating the impression that he is struggling to manage a situation that is spiralling out of control. Conservative MP Robert Jenrick openly criticizes Starmer, asserting that he labels anyone advocating for an investigation as far-right. Jenrick passionately points out that millions of people are seeking justice and answers for the thousands of young girls who have suffered violence. He is absolutely correct. Jenrick also highlights that the calls for an investigation are not coming from extremists, but from everyday citizens. Parents who are outraged by what has happened to their children. This is not just rhetoric, it's a heartfelt plea. What's remarkable is that the Starmer government has conducted over 60 inspections since taking office, yet none have addressed the issue of grooming gangs. Jenrick questions why this is the case but receives no clear response. Other MPs are also beginning to speak out more forcefully. Kemi Badenoch is calling for a new investigation to uncover how such horrific abuses could have occurred. Chris Philp describes Starmer's refusal to meet these demands as shameful.
I think we all had a smile on Sunday when the honourable member said how cool it was to have the support of Musk, only for Musk to say he should be removed. Just a few hours later, that's the rough and tough of politics. And of course, we're looking at the question of funding more generally.
While the Labour Party was attempting to conceal information about the crimes, Starmer was in charge of investigating them. Now, he is facing criticism for his ineffective actions. Dansuk encountered this issue when he became an MP in 2010, and for 3 years he fought against child abuse, including grooming cases. Instead of receiving support from the party, he was told to stay silent. This situation goes beyond mere political turmoil. It represents a cover-up of serious crimes against children, with Starmer at the heart of the scandal. Many believe he became part of the problem when the justice system failed to protect children during his tenure. Given that the Labour Party was instructed to remain quiet, and Starmer as the head of prosecutions did not take the necessary steps, it's no wonder his approval ratings are plummeting. How can people trust a man who was supposed to safeguard vulnerable children but appears to have become part of a system that let them down? This scandal has drawn attention from many, including Elon Musk, who typically discusses electric cars and rockets, but is now actively engaging in British politics. Musk has sharply criticized Starmer, calling for his resignation and even imprisonment. See you next time.